Hi, today I'm going to show you my procedure for covering a lampshade with some paper napkins using decoupage. And I also have a scissors and some Mod Podge brushes, and I've selected matte Mod Podge for my project. These are really pretty napkins that I found. They have some creases in it, but those should come out when we apply them. And I'm going to pick portions that I like, and I'm going to go ahead and cut them out. The other technique you can use if you want a messier look is to take a paintbrush with a little water on it and outline your region with a little water and then pull the napkin apart. After I cut out the parts I want, I'm also going to take only the top surface of the 2 or 3 ply napkin that I have here. Okay, I've got all my pieces cut out that I want to use, lots of different sizes, and make sure you do just get that top piece. When I started pulling it apart, I thought it was just 2 ply, but it turned out it was 3 ply, so you just want that very top surface. I've got a bowl of water here, as well as I put a little bit of water in a clean cat food can and mixed up my Mod Podge in it just to make it a little bit less thick than it normally is. Then what I want to do to start with, because this is going to be very absorbent, is just take a little bit of water and put some water on the place that I'll put my first piece. If you just directly apply your Mod Podge on the lampshade, there's a good chance that your piece will not adhere to it and just kind of fall right off. So I'm going to take a piece and very gently apply my Mod Podge to the back of this, just nice and smooth. Be very gentle with the piece because of course it's very delicate. Okay, make sure I get the edges. Okay, and I'm going to carefully pick that up, orient it in the direction that I want, and I think I'll have it like that. And then very gently just lay it, lay it where you want. It's got a little bit of flexibility if you goof like I did there. Okay, now I'm kind of holding it, and I'm going to gently take my brush and brush toward the edges. Very gently smooth out those bubbles. Now this went over a part that was a little dry, so it doesn't want to take as well. So I may get a little bit of water, just stick it underneath it there, and then paint it back down. Okay, get a little bit more Mod Podge, get my edges. Same thing over here, it's a little bit dry. Put some moisture there, then gently sweep toward the edges. And once again, look for some of those places that you have bubbles or wrinkles and gently straighten them out. There we go. Okay, so we've got our first piece on, and before I start overlapping, I'm going to do other areas that don't have a piece yet. So lots of moisture there. Every fabric's going to be a little different with how your materials stick or don't stick. Okay, so we are going to try a different piece now, obviously. Okay, get this nice and glued up here. And I don't think it hurt to give this still a little more water. I'll start to slap on some glue too. Get it nice and slathered on there. Okay, let's see how it goes this time. You'll get a few tries with it before you can't use that piece anymore. Okay. Not bad, not bad at all. Got it? I'm going to start with the edges just to get this to stay down. Edges on one side. Okay, now that I've got some to stick, very gently, I'm going to work my way to the other side. That way you won't be stuck with any wrinkles or bubbles on the inside. Center. Nice. Gonna put a little extra underneath there and then curve it around. There we go. Nice. Okay, now you don't want to overdo it, but if you can still gently pull from the center to the edge and look for any edges that are not staying down. There we go. Okay, so keep going around. You can see this one's staying pretty good. You can always go back and put a little bit more around the edges. If it's starting to curl up a little bit, just gently pull away from the center. Just wanted to show you a part-way look. You can see I'm starting to do the overlapping. And as you see bubbles as it's starting to dry, you can still gently take your brush and smooth them out a little bit. But you will have some wrinkles while it's drying. So I'm going to continue to fill in the void areas, but I will have a little bit of cloth space between the napkins in a few places. I'm not going to cover it solid all the way around. I've finished gluing all my scraps of napkin to the lampshade. Because the napkin color is very similar to the fabric color of the lampshade, I can leave these spaces here and there between my pieces of napkin, and it just looks very natural. I would probably have done things a little bit differently if there was a noticeable color contrast between the napkins and the fabric, but it worked out well to do it this way. I'm going to let it dry overnight, and then I'm going to put a top coat of Mod Podge on it. I've let it dry overnight, and I've decided instead of using Mod Podge as my top coat that I am going to use polyacrylic. I've chosen clear matte. And the reason I chose that is you just get a lot more bang for your buck with polyacrylic, and it goes on a little smoother because it's thinner. And I'd like to keep my Mod Podge for the actual gluing of projects like this. So make sure you stir it well. Don't shake it, that's going to make bubbles. When you dip your brush or your foam brush in, scrape off any excess on the sides. And you may want to just start with maybe a inconspicuous area. I don't know, I'm just going to start right there. See how it goes on, get a feel for it. All right, looks good to me. So now, oops, I did not get the excess off. Just go in vertical strips. And keep in mind that if you have any places where you have exposed fabric, that's going to absorb a lot more than the places that have the dried napkins. So I'm just going to go all the way around and do that. I've got one more section left. If a piece starts to pull away in the direction that you're applying the polyacrylic, just go in the opposite direction, so you make sure you flatten it back down. If an edge has started to peel, I had a little edge starting to peel there. And I can see that I'm just about to where I started. As you can see it glistening and a little bubbly. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to go around and make sure we don't have any globs running down anywhere where you might have put it on too heavy. If you do, you're just going to dab it. Sorry, make sure you can see that. You're just going to dab it if it's running, because you don't want dried globs of polyacrylic on your final lampshade. Okay, so I think we've got it. Looks good, and we're just going to let it dry now. It's been a few hours and the project is done. Everything's dried, and here is the finished lampshade. There's a little bit of a sheen to it, even though it's called matte. It will have a little bit of a sheen. They have ultra flat if you don't want any sheen at all. And if you want more of a sheen, they also have satin and gloss polyacrylic. Keep in mind, when you do decoupage on a lampshade, or really on anything, you probably want a light background because of the translucency of your napkins. You're going to see your print better if you've got a light background. Well, there it is. Thanks for joining me, and good luck on making your lampshade, and I hope it turns out beautifully.